Can a realtor do an appraisal? We are going to talk about it and break it down properly. In short, a realtor cannot do an appraisal. But there is a long-tailed answer to that also. And let's dive deep into the discussion about the difference between a CMA and an appraisal, and who does it and what purposes these are going to be used. So let's start talking about it. The first thing is, what is the difference between an appraisal and a CMA? An appraisal is done by an independent, state licensed appraiser, and it's his opinion of value. Whereas the CMA is done by the real estate agent, and they use a lot of data, including the noise levels, busy streets, condition of the property, the square feet, the lot size, the current trend in the market, number of days in the market, and all of these. Of course, even the appraisal uses some of these factors, but the appraisal may not use, say, a school district mapping, how fine you go to analyze the school district, how to predict prices based on seasonality, how to predict prices based on current days on market. An appraiser may not have all of these factors. So now the question is, who uses an appraisal versus who uses a CMA? An appraisal is typically used by a lender. So when the lender needs to get an opinion on the value of a property, they order independent appraisal. And that's what an appraisal is. But a CMA is a much more detailed analysis of the current market conditions. It shows which way the market is trending also. It will also take into account a lot of factors such as noise, such as property condition, level of upgrades, how the styling is, and give a value based off of that. So that's your difference between CMA and appraisal. Now what happens is that the lender uses an appraisal. The CMA, the data from the CMA can of course be used by the appraiser to include the comparables there. So when do we use an appraisal and when do we use a CMA? So we use an appraisal when we want to take a mortgage. Sometimes for full cash offers, people skip an appraisal. But then they go to a realtor and use a much finer opinion of value, which is the CMA. The second place where you typically use an appraisal is in divorces, probate sales, disputes, and any property divisions when there are multiple heirs, all of these, and for taxation purposes, tax and valuation purposes. For all of these, you will use an appraisal. Whereas when listing a home or when writing an offer on a property, you go and work with a real estate agent to get that. Now, next item that we want to discuss is, why does the value differ between the CMA and the appraisal? So the CMA is a forward-looking opinion of value. It considers hard and soft factors, all of them. What I mean by hard is the square feet of the property, the lot size of the property, the age of the property, all of that. Whereas a typical appraisal will consider all of these factors and, in fact, much more accurately measured home size along with a floor plan, which is not what is included in case of a CMA. So an appraisal includes all of these. So what happens with the appraisal is this is very accurate, but it does not give as much emphasis on, say, the noise level at the property. Say if the property is on a busy street, the kind of upgrades that went into a property, or the kind of lot premium, or when the home values are going up or trending down. It does not include those factors. So we have to differentiate this. So when you are buying or selling a property, it's typically the CMA. When you're doing a mortgage or you're trying to get legal opinion or taxes, divorces, anything to do with courts, you don't use a CMA, you use an appraisal. So if you want more information about deep topics like this, please hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you on my next one. Bye.